साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ तच्छन्योरावृणीमहे। ॐ तच्छन्योरावृणीमहे। ॐ तच्छन्योरावृणीमहे। People have forgotten Om Sri Sai Ram. You have forgotten the rules of chanting. Looks like where to go up, where to not to go up. How many of you are first time in the Veda class? Please raise your hand. You know how the Veda chanting occurs? If you see an underline, that means it's half a note lower. If you see the line, the dash, not the dash, what's it called? The vertical line on the top of something, it's a half a note higher. And the rest of it is all flat. Om, so watch me chant. The cha is down. Om tat chamyoravruni mahe. Got it? It's like reading musical notes. And it's like the heartbeat. The heartbeat will go up, down, flat. That's all it is. And the resonance of the sound of the Veda is that of a heartbeat. If you miss the beat, you miss the beat of the heart. And the swara is so important because that's what the sound of the music is what the mind is attracted to, and the meaning of the mantra is what the intellect is attracted to. So it's an electromagnetic resonance. The electricity is illumination, the magnetism is the attraction. The mind is the one that is wavering all the time, and therefore it has to be attracted. So the magnet keeps the mind not waver anymore. The intellect is the one that needs to be illumined, and therefore the meaning of the mantra illumines the intellect, and therefore you feel the light all around you. It's really as simple as that. But we have made this to be a chumma chanting exercise. Rather than using this as the tool for our spiritual transformation, it has become a process and a ritual. And we forgot about what the intent of all these beautiful mantras are. So I will keep saying that these mantras have nothing to do with any other aspect other than provide light and illumination to the whole world. First to the individual self, and then this has to expand into the consciousness of the light, and this expansion of the light is Vishnu. Vishnu means expansion. Vishnu doesn't mean a guy carrying some very deadly weapon, sleeping on a snake coil with a rich woman pressing his feet. Nothing like that. And today we are observing the beautiful Vaikuntha Ekadasi. Kuntha means constriction. Vaikuntha means no constriction. Vaikuntha doesn't mean some grandiose place called the heaven, where only gods exist and the rest are all idiots that are sitting somewhere else. Nothing like that. There is nothing called Vaikuntha anywhere else. When your mind is constricted, then it is Kuntha. means it is constriction. Vaikuntha means when your mind is not constricted. What is the mind constricted about? There are only two things that constrict us: the consciousness of the body and the consciousness of the mind. When you think you are the body, you are constricted. When you think you are the mind, you are constricted. When you go beyond your body, beyond your mind, you are no longer constricted, and therefore automatically you are in Vaikuntha. That's the reason why it is Vaikuntha. Not because God is existing somewhere, someplace that is so grandiose. God doesn't exist in any grandiose place. In fact, God exists in the most downtrodden, most places where even human beings will not even go to, like a manger, like a place where nobody could be born. Where was he born? In a manger. Last week we talked about that. God was not born in some beautiful palace waiting for all the people to come and serve him. God was born in a most humble place called the manger. God was born in a prison. God was taken over from a prison. And who is that? Sri Krishna. He was born in a prison. And then he was carried over to the place of Nandakula. So God is not in any Vaikuntha. When our body is constricted with I, the selfishness, and when the mind is constricted about my thing, my stuff, my toy, my home, my this, my that, automatically it is constricted. When you care and share your body and the mind for the sake of everybody else, you are in Vaikuntha. And that Vaikuntha is love all, serve all. That is Vaikuntha. When we love all beyond the body, when we serve all beyond the mind, that is Vaikuntha. That's the reason why God has taken the human form as Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, to make this place Vaikuntha, not have us do some chanting to go to some other place called Vaikuntha. To show the path of what we are and who we should be is the purpose why God took the human form. None other than that. And what is this Ekadashi? Ekadashi means 11. Ekadashi means 11. Dasha means 10. Ekadashi means 11. What is the 11? What is the significance of this 11 associated this Vaikuntha Ekadashi? The 11 is the 10, the 5 karmendriyas, the 5 senses, the 10 senses actually, the 5 that are engaged in action and the 5 that are engaged in perception, the 5 that act and the 5 that perceive. Because of these perceptual faculties of the 5, we gain knowledge. What are the 5 that do the action? Walk, pani, pada, payu, upastha. Walk, the word, the mouth, pani, the hands, pada, the feet, payu and upastha are the 2 excretory organs. And these 5 in action combined with what leads to the knowledge. Knowledge is basically Srotratva Chakshurasana Krana, Jnanendriyas, the one that perceive those. And these 10, Shrotra, here, Tvak is to feel, Chakshu to see, Rasana to taste, Krana to smell. The 5 Jnanendriyas and the 5 Karmendriyas together, when they are engaged and focused by the one that is illuminating them, the 10 plus 1 is 11. Who is the one that is enabling our ears to hear? Who is the one that is enabling our eyes to see? Who is the one that is enabling our nose to smell? Who is the one? What is that? When we contemplate on that, and when we realize that the one that is doing all this work in sacrifice, when we understand that, Vaikuntha Ekadashi has significance. Otherwise there is no significance of Vaikuntha Ekadashi. Otherwise it is eating very beautifully cooked Daddojanam and Pongal. Go to the temple, they will serve you fantastic food, you enjoy it, and one day in a year, Vaikuntha Ekadashi, if we do that, that's not the purpose of Vaikuntha Ekadashi. So when we are chanting these mantras, the purpose of chanting these mantras is to illumine our intellect and to control our mind in focusing on the swaras. Understand? Now all that long preamble is to come back to that point. Is what is the purpose of creating all these festivals? You see, the festivals are created not because for us to have a Merry Christmas. The festivals are created to have a Holy Christmas. It's a holy Vaikuntha Ekadasi. It is not a merry Vaikuntha Ekadasi. It is not a merry Shivaratri. It is holy Shivaratri. It is not merry. We don't call any festivals merry, because merry means partying, to buy gifts for each other, to indulge in the senses. That is not the celebration of any festival. It is to contemplate together in the divine consciousness. That's the reason why these festivals are created. And they are created in the context of every month there will be 2 or 3 festivals created across the calendar year, so that our mind doesn't fall to the lower consciousness. It is not celebrating 2 events. One is the death of the god and the other is the birth of the god. That is not the point of creating these festivals. In Hinduism, in Sanatana Dharma, there is a festival at least once a month, so that our conscience does not drop to the lower level, and it is always maintained at the higher level. And hence every month we have to celebrate at least Ekadasi and Paurnima, 2 festivals. The Ekadasi is the important one. People will fast. Every month they would fast for Ekadasi, and for Paurnima they observe, and Amavasya, 2 days, the full moon and the null moon, they observe austerities so that the mind doesn't fall below the conscience of the divine, to keep it on par. Otherwise what happens? If you leave a piece of glass in your house without cleaning it, within 3 days it will collect the dust, isn't it? And you come back and you keep cleaning it. Same thing with our mind and intellect. If you leave your mind and intellect without cleansing every day, they will collect rust and dust, and we begin to lose the reflection of ourselves to see the divine within us. And that's the reason why we have to have Anushtana. That's the reason why every morning you got to do the Anushtana. You got to get up at least 5 minutes of meditation. You have to see, you have to do, and chanting the Gayatri Mantra, which cleanses our faculties, which cleanses our mind, which cleanses our intellect. And this mantra that we are learning, the Shanti mantra, the peace mantra, Tacham Yora Vrini Mate. Now you see some funny characters there. And those, that if the N has a dot below it is a Na. If the N doesn't have the dot below it is a Na. Understand? So you have to know the script of that. It is not so Tacham So Ra Yora Vrini Mahe. What does that actually mean? What it means is, I am invoking Vrini Mahe, invocation. I am invoking that energy, the energy that is required to keep everything in positivity. Sham. Sham means positivity. You already know what the meaning of Sham is, because when you use the word Shamkara, means the one who is engaged in positive action. Shankara does not mean crazy guy sitting in a burial ground with lot of snakes on him, applying lot of ash on him, and he has nothing else to do to go beg in the town. That's not what Shankara means. Sham means the one who gives happiness, the one who gives prosperity, the one who gives auspiciousness, the one who is positive. If you are a castor oil face, you are a Shava. If you are positive, radiant energy beaming through your eyes and through your speech, then you are a Shiva. So the choice is the individual's, nothing to do with God. Don't put God in the in-between and say, oh, God is making me go through this. God is not making you go anything. He doesn't have any other business or what? God is not making us go through anything. This is all Maya, just leave it. It's not God who is making us go through any of our problems. It is ourselves, our own actions that have been come back from many, many millions of births that we have. Those actions are the reactions that are coming back. Nothing to do with God. But when you go through this reaction, whatever it is, when you go through illness, when you go through joblessness, when you go through, poverty, when you go through any of these, what we call as trials and tribulations, you have to be grateful to God, because He is cleansing you away from all the karma that you have accumulated from many, many billions of births. Once you become grateful to God, thank you for putting me through this trouble without getting affected by it because of your grace, then what we are doing, we are invoking positive consciousness, and that positive consciousness will cure your disease, will cure your mental illness, will cure your poverty, will cure any ailment that occurs. If it did not get cured, that means the medication has to go for a longer time. Nothing more than that. So now what we are doing is, every time when we say Tacham Yora Vrinimahe, I am invoking this positive consciousness, the one that gives this positive consciousness. Om Tacham Yora Vrinimahe,
Om Tacham Yora Vrinimahe, Om Tacham Yora Vrinimahe,
Gatum Yajnaya,
Gatum Yajnaya, Gatum Yajnaya,
Gatum Yajnapataye,
Gatum Yajnapataye, Gatum Yajnapataye.
Gatum. How am I invoking this positive consciousness? By praising the sacrifice. Yajna means sacrifice. Yajna doesn't mean putting some bricks and pouring some ghee onto the wood sticks that you get from Home Depot, and you call that yajna. No, that is not yajna. That's creating a lot of more pollution from Home Depot sticks, because they are not the divine sticks that need to be used for yajna. I am not mocking the ritual, but what I am trying to emphasize, the opposite of it is to connect to the real one. You understand what I am trying to do? Yeah? I am not mocking the ritual. What I am trying to do is, if we only indulge in that ritual without understanding what's the purpose of all of that, then we lost the context of why God has asked us to learn the supreme hymns. Why God has wished that we learn these supreme hymns. His intent of us to learn these supreme hymns is so that the golden age truly dawns on this beautiful earth. And when we actually go beyond this context of the ritual, then we really understand what is the spirit behind all this ritual. And hence I am emphasizing what that yajna means. Yajna means offering. What do you do in a yajna? You create a framework and you invoke fire and you keep putting stuff into the fire. And what does that fire do? The fire takes that and converts it into something that cannot come back to its original form. That's called transformation. You create fire and you throw a wood stick into it. Do you see the wood anymore? What do you see? Ash. Yes. Can the ash ever become wood? No. You understand? What happened to the wood? Transformed. The wood got transformed. Now there is anything that you can put into the fire and it will get converted into the ash, isn't it? And that ash is called vibhuti. What is the vibhuti that we are talking about? This vibhuti is to transform ourselves. So then what do you offer? You can offer anything into it, isn't it? You offer flowers, you offer all different kinds of grains, you offer all these kinds of things, you offer the wood sticks called samhita, And all these things that you are offering into this fire, if it only partially transforms, the wood turns into the coal. It doesn't become ash. If a thunderbolt hits the tree branches will become black in color, and that's called coal. Now you take this coal, take it home, you wash with milk, you wash it with soap. Does it become white again? If you take coal and you pour milk on it, does it turn white? Hey, what?
If the tree branches burn.
No, if it is burnt, if you take a burnt coal and you pour milk on it, does the coal become white in color? No. If you wash it with soap, will it become white in color? No. Only when you put it in the fire will it turn into white into color. And that white color is the ash. Am I talking some high funda stuff? Huh? It's a very simple stuff I am talking, right? Are you guys lost? No. Yes? I don't understand if you do like this. No? Yes?
Say.
Are you lost? Okay.
I think they have not seen coal.
Huh?
They may not have seen.
Oh, you may not have seen coal. Oh, if you do barbecue, what do you put on the... They don't even know what barbecue is. Okay, that's fine. Let's come back to the... What is this yajna is what I am trying to emphasize. So yajna is actually invoking the fire. And this invocation of the fire, in which you keep offering stuff, and the stuff that you offer into the fire will become transformed into something which will never come back to its original form. Transform means what? It has completely changed its form. That it's not change anymore. Yeah? Change is temporary, transformation is permanent. We keep thinking that we are changing. Oh, I'm going to change tomorrow, like change your clothes. You come back, wash them, the same damn clothes you will wear. That's not change. Huh? Isn't it? Change is not that. Change is temporary. Transformation is permanent. Once you become this side, there is no going back to that original stage. And you are completely transformed. That is what a yajna does. Now in the process what happened? What you actually offered in it sacrificed itself in the fire to become that which cannot come back to its original form. Right? So now what we are doing? 2 mantras. See how beautiful. We first said, I am invoking this fire of positive consciousness. Tat cham yora vrunimaye. Yaha, that which actually gives me this positive consciousness. I am invoking that fire within me, this fire of supreme consciousness. And now what I am saying, I am praising the sacrifice. Now that means what? I am going to sacrifice. I am going to put something into this fire. What is it that you are going to put into this fire? You are going to put all your faculties into this fire. Then what happens? Then you become transformed. And that is the sacrifice of your own individual identity associated with your body, mind and the faculties. When you put it into the fire, you become transformed. You become transformed from what? From this ugly looking cocoon which is sitting inside and nobody would want to look at it. From that cocoon now you became a butterfly and everybody would love to see you. Everybody would love to see you jump from one flower to another flower, carrying the pollen and become this butterfly. How do you do that? You have to first give up your cocoon thing. Otherwise you can't become a butterfly. If you keep sitting in the cocoon, I'm very happy inside my cocoon, it's warm and cozy here, I never want to come out of my cocoon, let me sit in my cocoon, then what happens? Nobody will even look at you. Hey, ugly cocoon. Huh? Understand what cocoon is? Yeah. Right? Egg becomes larva. Larva becomes cocoon. Cocoon becomes butterfly. See, transformation process, we learn in science, right? From each stage, it is called transformation of the butterfly. It doesn't say egg. Oh, egg is a beautiful thing. No, how many people would like to look at a butterfly egg? It's so small we don't even care about it. Larva, that crawly, little, ugly, sluggish thing. Oh my God, it is so slimy. Nobody would appreciate that. Then it becomes a cocoon sitting in itself. We go through the same transformation process. We think, oh, I am this little fellow called Shekhar. I am coming from this beautiful town called Guntur, where it is so hot and wonderful hot spicy food. I am very happy with my food. I am very happy with my own little town. I am very happy with my own little self, and I live and die there, khana, pina, sona, marna. And I don't want to go be an instrument for Swami's work. Let me sit there, eat my gongura and avkai and cherish and perish. Cherish and perish. But what God has given me this life for is not to cherish and perish, but to cherish and flourish. Therefore, I should start doing something useful in His mission. But in order for me to do that, I have to first get out of this damn place called Guntur, where it is so hot. Then I have to keep thinking that I am not this little fellow called this 5 foot 10 inch black hair, black eyed Shekhar Patupalli with a mole on his right foot, all that stuff. Have to. You understand? Now then what I am doing? I am sacrificing my identity. I am beginning to actually use this life that God has given me to do something else useful for me so that I get transformed about it, not to transform others. I am not transforming anybody else. I am transforming myself. Then what happens? Then automatically the Lord will work through us. The Master of the sacrifice will work through us. So I am praising this sacrifice. I am praising the sacrifice of my own senses and my faculties so that I come out of the cocoon. That is what is Gatum Yajnaya. One simple word, if I keep talking like this, then Purusha Suktam will be 3.5 years. So I know you don't want that. What you want is a crash course. Come on, Shekhar ji, what are you doing with all this class? We got to get this Purusha Suktam done in 1.5 months. Otherwise you are wasting our time. We have so many other things to do in life. Gatum Yajnaya. Gatum Yajnapataye. There is a conductor of this exercise. There is a conductor of this sacrifice. He is the master of ceremonies, MC. So, I am praising the ceremony, the sacrifice. I am praising the MC. He is such a beautiful conductor of this beautiful sacrifice. He has everything timed so perfectly. And He has perfectly timed so much so that every time when we sacrifice, it's already timed and programmed. And He is the master that's conducting this sacrifice. And what does that mean? Thy will be done. When we understand the master of ceremony is conducting it and he says, fellow, it's time to do this work. You cannot say, excuse me boss, I really have something else to do. Can we come back later? Then he's saying, no. You missed the time. Opportunity lost. Gone. Will not come back. When that time comes, when he says, thy will be done, if we actually accept that and say, this is the will of the Yajnapati, the master of sacrificial ceremony, then what happens? Surrender happens. Jesus the Christ henceforth said, if it is thy will that I will sacrifice my body and mind for the sake of the entire humanity, He didn't figure out any other strategies other than saying, I am going to sacrifice my body and mind for the sake of humanity. And hence He became Jesus, the mortal body, to the Christ, the immortal consciousness. Now, is it a coincidence that a Vaikuntha Ekadasi and a Christmas celebration will come together? It is not a coincidence. They are both the same. They are related. They are completely in the same spirit of awareness and awakening. So the yajna is the sacrifice. In fact, when you learn this chant, the Purusha Suktam, I will explain to you how incredible this supreme hymn describes how Jesus the Christ sacrificed his body and the self for the sake of humanity. This Purusha Suktam is all about Jesus Christ's crucifixion, nothing else, and resurrection. That is what this hymn is. It is not about any other Hindu supreme ritual kind of stuff. And you will understand what that it is. And Bhagavan actually inspired me. When I shared this in a church, it was such an incredible thing for people to listen to this. That time immemorial. The crucifixion of the Jesus was described in this hymn called Purusha Suktam. So this is about sacrifice. Gatum Yajnaya. I praise the sacrifice. Gatum Yajnapataye. I praise the master of ceremonies that conducts this sacrifice. Why is he conducting this sacrifice? What's the purpose of conducting this sacrifice? Because from this sacrifice, Daivi Swastirastunaha. All the different types of energies called Daivi Shaktis, all the different faculties that operate, they are all in positive vibration. This change of yuga that we are talking about is positive vibration. Everything is going to go towards positivity. People will be forced to go into positivity. There will not be any choice to resist this positivity. And the golden age has already been declared by Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It must happen, it is happening. It is His will that it would happen. And if you don't notice it, please wake up and see, it is already happening. People will be forced to share their stuff with everybody else, so that the entire humanity, it will turn into afraid. For fearful people, it will be too socialistic in nature, and they are afraid to lose that control of their own possessions. But they will be forced to. No choice. What am I talking about? I'm not going to try to make this a political agenda here. Look what's happening around. Look what's happening in Europe. The fall of the Greece and the Spanish economies is for the flourishing countries like Germany and Netherlands and other countries to put their contribution to uplift those downtrodden countries. And hence the taxes in Europe are exorbitantly high. Who predicted that? How it will happen? Once you say, I am European Union, it is not just by the name you declare your union. That means you have to share what you have to come back and be united. And therefore what's happening? People are sharing their wealth in Europe for the sake of all those that cannot afford it. Same thing will happen in the United States. Absolutely will happen. So if you are about 250,000 in your salary, please don't lose your sleep. Think that you are contributing to charity and for the upliftment of those that need your help. You understand? That is the sacrifice that I am talking about. This sacrifice will come to say, oh, I am holding on to all of this stuff. At some point, the system is going to make it. It's the law of entropy. It's thermodynamics. Nothing can be concentrated in one place. It has to diffuse, and it will diffuse. And that diffusion is what we call as coming back and sharing and caring. Gatum yajnaya, gatum yajnapataye. For what? Daivi swastirastunaha. Let all the different forces, let them all be in complete, perfect harmony. Swastirastunaha. Swastir manushebhyaha. May all the humanity be in harmony. Urdhvam jigatu bheshajam. Urdhvam jigatu bheshajam means let the plant to grow upward. Here the plant is your body. Let your spirit grow in upward direction. That means what? From lower level of consciousness to higher level of consciousness. Urdhvam jigatu bheshajam. Shan naha astu dvipade. Let all our beings with two legs be sham, happy and prosperous. Sham naha astu chatushpade. May all the four-legged ones be also happy, prosperous and auspicious. Now, see what a beautiful Shanti mantra this is. Is there anywhere here it is related to Hinduism? I keep asking that question only to beat upon the Hindus that to lose the attachment that these mantras belong to some religion. They don't. They belong to the humanity. And I'm beating up the other people that say these are Hindu ritual mantras to say, lose this lower level of consciousness that these chanting mantras belong to only Hindus, therefore we shouldn't chant. Both ways, right? It goes both ways. The Hindus should not be thinking, oh, these are my mantras. And the others should not be thinking, oh, these are Hindu mantras, they have no relevance to me. They are the supreme spiritual principles that apply to the entire humanity, brothers and sisters. And now, this mantra becomes a mantra of peace. And what is this peace mean? Peace means concordance of the inner self with the outer self. Concordance is peace. Discordance is peace. P-I-E-C. Concordance is P-E-A-C-E. Discordance is P-I-E-C-E. Now if you look at the mantra, it is concordance of all the entire universe with all the beings, for them to come together and invoke positive consciousness, and this positive consciousness enables a sacrifice, and the sacrifice will actually make all the beings come together and live in harmony and peace. How incredible that we are chanting this mantra at the dawn of the golden age. But the golden age already started, as I put in the Facebook, September 28, 1835. That's when the golden age has actually started. How did you pick the date? Niranjan knows.
Shirdi Baba's birthday.
Yeah, Shirdi Baba's birthday. Shirdi Baba's birthday was September 28, 1835. It took this long for 100 and plus years. That's when the transformation process actually started, when God came in human form. And on April 24th, 2011, this mass consciousness has actually completely taken over and risen. Now, when we look at why the Supreme has sacrificed himself for the sake of the entire humanity again, to accelerate the transformation process. To accelerate the transformation. Now, that's the event that happens, that makes it happen. Because there must be, I mean, that's my opinion. It's not written anywhere. It's not from official Satya Sai Baba organization. This is just my opinion. That it is the context of when the process, acceleration is hindered. What will the leader of all the leaders do? He will create. He sacrifices himself for the sake of the humanity. Somebody raise their hand. Yeah.
This is not my question.
No.
The question I'm asking on behalf of people who have this question. If this is a golden age, why is there lot more violence, lot more crime and evil happening in the present age? At least this month we have been seeing in India, in the US.
Yeah. Shall I got the question. I'll give you Baba's answer. I'll give Baba's answer, not my answer. And it is written actually somewhere, it is documented. I forget the devotee's name, but he is very close to Swami. He was, Professor Venkatraman actually wrote this. And Venkatraman, what's happening? Venkatraman asked this question. Swami said, it's not that violence has increased, it's being reported. Swami said, none of these newspapers, none of this TV media, none of the Facebook, all the chatter and the Twitters report anything positive. They are only focusing on anything and everything that is negative. And Swami asked the question, how many newspapers wrote about the wonderful work that Orissa devotees did to construct 350 houses right after the storm? How many devotees are reporting, how many newspapers reported worldwide about all the beautiful work that is going on in South Africa with Peace Corps and all these things? How many times we read in the newspapers about positive stuff that is brought to the attention of the people? How many times? They don't. Because it is sensational journalism. The human mind is getting attracted to the negativity. And how we tell you, Baba gave a beautiful example. He said, if you go to a marriage party, somebody comes and says, hello, how are you, what's happening, etc. You are very happy about that person. Imagine somebody comes and says, you idiot, what are you doing here in this marriage party? Don't you have anything to do? You will think about that guy forever. You will not remember the guys that came and told you good things. What will you remember? Oh, look at that fellow. Why did he call me idiot? What did I do? You will think about that fellow for your entire lifetime. Why? Because the mind is attracted more towards negativity than positivity. Then what's happening is, every time something negative is reported, it gets stuck in your head. And that's why, even with that Friday event that happened, how many people really remember all the victims and the beautiful children and their names? How many of us can tell the names of all the 26, 30 people that died in that massacre? I am sure, including myself, none of us in this audience. None of us. Let me ask you, how many of us can right away tell the guy that went and killed those children? I will tell at least 99% of the people in this audience. Why? Because our mind is always getting attracted to negative trash. It's never getting motivated by the positive thing. So, it's a beautiful thing, The only thing, the reason why Prahlada is so great is got reported in Bhagavatam. There are so many other Prahladas who are ignored in Sacramento, like Anand and all those guys. They are also Prahladas. I'm not making joke.
I reported his dad, Hiranyakashipu.
I didn't say that, you said it. Yes, sister.